Is the live video starting? We're kind of rushed this morning. Believe it or not, well, welcome to Sunday school, everyone. And I've got a perfect, Constance and I have a perfect Sunday school type event this morning. We're right next door to a very lovely Lutheran church. I mean, literally right next door. And today they're having a blessing of the animals. Okay, now we're not Lutheran, we're not even Christian, but we love animals, and animals aren't Christian either. And we've got this 53-year-old turtle, and we're going to take it over. They're lovely people over there. We've talked to them before. We're going to get the Vicomtesse Emilia Tortu. We're going to get her blessed today, and a friend of ours who raises rats is going to bring her rats over. We're all going to get blessed this morning next door. I'll tell you all about it tomorrow. Anyway, we are continuing talking about the magic pentacle, and we started yesterday. And I was giving an example of my pentacle, but today we're going to move on to now how do you create your own pentacle. And just to recall, that's what my pentacle looks like. And I was describing why I did all of this. The Crowley's description of a pentacle says that all pentacles will contain the ultimate conception of the circle and the cross. The tree of life itself may be figured therein. The pentacle will be imperfect unless each idea is contrasted in a balanced manner with its opposite, and unless there is a necessary connection between each pair of ideas and every other pair, and useless. Okay. The pentacle is the magician's body, the temple of the Holy Ghost. Its length is from north to south. Its breadth is from east to west. Its height is from abyss to abyss. Now, can you figure out a diagram that means all that to you? The answer is yes, you can. As a matter of fact, a magician needs to, because that's the conception of reality, the magical existence that the magician will stand upon to start his or her entire magical career. So yesterday, we started to dissect what I did here by, first of all, the perimeter with Nuit and Hadit, and that's the infinite out, infinite, and the infinite in. And inside the perimeter is their child, Rahur Kuit, which is absolutely everything in between. So if the infinite out of Nuit is in constant contact with the infinite within, if the circumference of the circle is infinite, she's everywhere. And if the center of the circle is everywhere and infinite, he's everywhere too. And so they're infinitely touching, they're infinitely rubbing and irritating one another. And it's lovemaking. And that friction, that ecstatic friction, is a vibration for manifestation or existence to occur. It's the vibration for existence to actually happen, and that's Rahur Kuit. So she's the absolutely biggest everything. He's the absolutely tiniest of everything, and Rahur Kuit is everything in between. So that's how I describe that. Now we're getting to the point, literally getting to the point. Okay. The cross will be the next major feature of my pentacle, just as Hadit is the center of Nuit's circumference, I placed a small circle in the very center of the disk. For me, this represents the first one of manifest creation. In Kabbalistic terms, it is the Godhead. The crown, Kether, the first emanation of the tree of life. Now, what is the length of this temple? From north to south. What is the breadth of this temple? From east to west. The point is the primal one, the crown, from which emanate the other Sephiroth of the tree of life. And we'll just look at one tree of life there, the bottom one pointing down. But there are 4 trees of life representing the 4 Kabbalistic worlds, Atzilith, Braya, Yetzirah, and Asaya, and the 4 parts of the soul, the Chai, the Neshama, the Ruach, and the Nefesh. The cross of my pentacle is made from 4 trees of life bursting into the 4 directions from the primal Kether. This way of looking at things shows the total of 37 Sephiroth. Now, you might think the totality of the 4 worlds and the 4 parts of the soul would give us 4 trees of life and therefore 40 emanations. But no, it's 1 with 37 emanations coming out of it. And 37 is a big Kabbalistic number. It's the number of Yecherev, which is the ultimate unity of the soul. So can you Kabbalistically wrap your brain around the fact that 1 and 37 is a pretty cool thing? Okay. What is the height of this temple from abyss to abyss? Now I draw your attention to the 7-sided abyss between the perimeter and the center field, and the black circle abyss that backs the supernal triads of the 4 trees of life. So see the big abyss, 7-sided figure, and then the central abyss, which demarcates the supernal triads of all 4 of the trees of life and the rest of their respective trees. See the black circle and the black 11-sided figure. These abysses, which are really one, really none, guard the 2 border areas of being. The first one coming forth from unmanifest potentiality, and the second one fully realized being returned into unmanifest potentiality. Even if you don't follow my thinking on these Kabbalistic matters, I hope you get a general idea of what I was trying to achieve with my pentacle. On my map, I can point out specific landmarks of creation and consciousness as I understand them. Fundamental forces of nature, parts of the soul, Kabbalistic worlds, elements, planets and planetary spheres, zodiac signs, even tarot cards and initiatory grades. Now, it's your turn. What does your universe look like? It could be as profoundly simple as the yin-yang symbol. As a matter of fact, as I said yesterday, that was my first pentacle right there. Or it could be a pentagram. I guess that was my second one on the flip side. Or a square and a triangle. But you must ask yourself if you can and will be able to comfortably point out exactly where on that simple symbol you can find, for example, the sun or the element air or the zodiac sign Capricorn. What combination of words, symbols, and figures do you need to assemble to represent your idea of infinite space, or exactly where you could pinpoint your present degree of initiation or of illumination? Where is the next step in your spiritual evolution? Like your magical motto, you'll probably make several, perhaps many different pentacles during your long and illustrious magical career. But you have to start somewhere. And you have to start sometime, and that time is now. I'd like you to create your own homemade magical pentacle in the blank disc on the next page. And I gave you just a blank circle in the book. Sign it with your own magical motto. Give it some thought. But remember, your understanding of the universe is changing with every breath you take. You'll most likely change the designs many times, so don't take too much time. There's no time like the present, so do it now. It's Sunday. You got the whole day ahead of you. Actually making a pentacle is the next little section. I probably should apologize for rambling on and on about the importance of the design of the pentacle, but haven't yet offered any practical advice as to how you might go about making the material object itself. Let's change that right now. Here's a few thoughts and suggestions. Using standards set by the Golden Dawn, the pentacle should be 8 inches in diameter and 1.5 inches thick. It should be round, flat, and rather heavy. Round because it should simultaneously remind you of both the ring of the horizon that surrounds you as you stand on the surface of the earth, and the disk of the sun that daily circles you in the heavens. Flat because your work must be built on a foundation that is level. Heavy because the magician's work must be firmly and substantially grounded, and for the time being, at least, fixed in place. If made of metal, the ideal metal is gold, you guessed it, or gold-plated silver. Now, not many of us today can afford a round slab of pure gold 8 inches in diameter and 1/2 inch thick. So this is not an option for most magicians. Beeswax is also an ideal material for a pentacle for many reasons. And it has been used for centuries by magicians. Not only is beeswax infinitely more inexpensive than gold or indeed metal, but it's very easy, indeed pleasurable to work with. It smells wonderful too. If cared for properly, it will last hundreds of years. It is the product of industrious labor and is actually a living substance. Among its many other attributes, the pentacle represents the magician's livelihood and material sustenance. It is quite literally the food of the magician. When one looks at one's pentacle, there should be the visceral urge to take a bite out of it, like eating the earth, like eating the sun, like eating the body of God. A pentacle of beeswax fills the bill nicely. Indeed, when you make a beeswax disc, your mouth almost waters. There's almost an irresistible urge to bite it. Believe me, I'm not kidding. Beeswax is easy to obtain if you know where to look. Most farmers markets have at least one honey farmer who also sells blocks of beeswax. It is also found in bulk at hardware stores where it's sold as a bolt and screw lubricant. Food grade, however, is preferable. I could walk less than 5 minutes from this house, and there's a honey store, an organic honey store, just over here on J Street. And they've got all the beeswax you want. It smells great. Okay, anyway. Food grade, however, is preferable. Candle wax or paraffin is also easy to obtain, and while less desirable from a mystical perspective, is very easy to work with. As a matter of fact, I made my Sigillum Deameth out of about 6 or 7 years of stubs of candles that burned down from our Gnostic masses. So I figured that was holy enough. Paraffin candle stubs are in no short supply at the DuQuette house. For many years, we celebrated the Gnostic Mass in our living room at least once a month. The high altar of the lovely ceremony is illuminated by 22 candles, which we will replace after 2 or 3 uses. I have used recycled mass candles to make several versions of my personal Pentacle, my Enochian magical sigil, and assortment of other magical discs. Finally, directions for making a homemade Pentacle. At least one suggested way. Find or buy a round biscuit tin or Christmas cookie tin, approximately 8 inches in diameter. A little more or less will be fine. Clean it thoroughly, then coat the inside with cooking oil spray or vegetable oil. You'll not be using the lid of the tin. Place your blocks of beeswax, paraffin, or candle stubs inside the container. Estimate and use your own judgment as to how much wax it'll take, so that when the melted disc will be approximately 1.5 inches thick. Place the biscuit tin with wax on a cookie sheet. Make sure none of the blocks of wax or candle stubs lean over the rim of the container. Carefully place it in your kitchen oven at a very, very low temperature. Watch the melting every minute. Do not leave the room for a moment. Keep checking to make sure the wax is melting. Now, it reminds me of the instructions in the Emerald Tablet of Hermes. A gentle heat with much attention. If you're going to do this in your oven, make it a gentle heat with much attention. Okay. Make sure the wax is not melting, not leaking into the cookie sheet or on the floor of the oven. At the first sign of leaking, remove everything immediately and turn off the oven. I'm being so insistent about safety because I once set fire to our house doing this. It wasn't pretty. Constance is still upset. Be patient. Everything will eventually melt into a beautiful liquid wax. Carefully remove everything from the oven and allow to slowly cool at room temperature. If you melt down candles, you may need to use tweezers while it's still liquid. Use tweezers to remove any wicks or soot that's still floating around. Carefully remove everything from the oven and allow it to slowly cool at room temperature. Don't try to hurry the cooking process by placing it in the refrigerator or freezer, as you'll risk cracking the wax. After it is cooled completely to room temperature, at least 4 hours, turn the tin over and gently slam it on the countertop. If you oiled the tin enough, a perfect wax disc will pop out. The bottom will become the perfectly smooth top surface of your disc. Apply your Pentacle's design with a sharp pointed object like a compass point. Hints for carving your design on a wax disc. First, draw your design on a sheet of paper. The drawing can be 8 inches in diameter, but you'll want to make several photocopies of it, and the photocopy should be enlarged or reduced to perfectly match the size of your wax disc. When you're ready to begin, cut out your paper drawing of the disc and secure it to the wax disc by several pieces of tape. Then, using a really thin sewing needle, pierce every place on your drawing where a line starts, ends, and intersects another line. Make sure the perforation goes completely through the paper and lightly into the wax. This can take a long time, but be patient and careful. When you are absolutely certain you have marked every landmark of your design, remove the paper and, using your compass point and a straight edge, draw your design on the surface of the wax. The lettering, you'll have to more or less eyeball and do the best you can. If you can take your time and are careful, you'll be rewarded with the most beautiful object of art you ever created. And it will be truly your magical pentacle. Now, under the heading Pentacle for the Impatient, Lazy, Inept, or Hopelessly Awkward. If working with beeswax or paraffin seems beyond your artistic skill level, but you still want to create a bona fide magic pentacle, you can do this. Go to the arts and crafts or hobby store and buy a round wooden disc, such as those manufactured for plaques. Something like that. They're really cheap. You get 2 or 3 so you can screw it up. Try again. Go to arts and crafts or hobby store and buy a round wooden disc such as those manufactured for plaques, photo mounting, etc. Lightly sand, smooth, and brush clean. Take a photocopy of your design, carefully trim to fit handsomely to the wooden disc, and spray the back of the paper with spray adhesives available at the craft store also. Carefully apply the paper drawing to the wood, being careful to avoid bubbles. Let dry overnight. Following all the directions on the can, spray or brush seal the disc front and back with clear commercial glossy or semi-glossy finisher. Ask for suggestions at the hobby shop where you bought your wooden disc. Ideas for on-the-road, improvised, homemade magical pentacle. Once you've designed and constructed your pentacle, you'll have, in essence, installed it permanently in your magical self. That's where it truly exists. That's where you use it. From that point on, any material object you choose will be your pentacle. It's desirable, however, that it be round, like a disk of the sun, and suggestive of the solid, nutritive, spiritual attributes of Earth. I travel a lot, or at least before the pandemic, and often find myself quietly doing magic in hotel rooms and in the guest room of friends or colleagues. I don't usually travel with my formal, consecrated magical tools, so I improvise with what's at hand. Now, all of this is true. For my pentacle, I have in the past used a coin, the Ace of Discs tarot card, my wristwatch, a round cocktail coaster from a pub or a hotel bar. I've even used square ones with round. This is, wow. That's pretty exotic. Okay. That's one of them. Now get this. I've used a tiny packet of salt from the cafe or restaurant. It's perfect. Or I've used a CD or a DVD disc. I've used a tortilla, a pita bread, and one morning in China, I snagged a pancake from the hotel restaurant. And I used it as a Eucharist, you could be damn sure, after the ceremony. Anyway, so that's my comments on the pentacle. I found a beautiful version of Frater Akkad, his pentacle, and I'm going to post it on my page too, because it's based on 11 pointed star, which is made up of 22 bars. And so you can see what he was up to there with the Hebrew alphabet and the tarot cards and stuff based on that 22 and 11 and everything else. It's a marvelous, ingenious pentacle. But you can come up with a marvelous, ingenious pentacle too. And it will serve you well until such time as your understanding of the universe broadens. And then you'll probably want to think about what you would do to create a new, improved pentacle. Or just, you may come up with the good one and stick with it. I'm still sticking with mine. Anyway, got to get our turtle ready to get itself blessed by the Lutherans. She's blessed every day by the two bishops that she's lived with for the last 50 some years. Anyway, continue on with your weekend. Hope you've enjoyed Sunday school. I'll see you tomorrow morning. I may continue talking about, in the autumn, I feel very earthy. So I may continue talking a bit about the sacredness of earthy type stuff. We'll stand on the pentacle to continue our speculations and stuff. Anyway, continue to have a good day. Take the rest of the weekend off, if you've got a weekend left ahead of you. Continue to be good to yourself and be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will.